This video is sponsored by Deep Cut Studios. For a wide range of fantastic gaming resources such as battle mats, dice trays and pre-painted bases, check out the description below.
When Molly Squidpiddge was alive, she was one fierce investigative reporter, grasping for the truth in the same way a dog rips at a bone, ripping apart the layers of lies to get at the sweet, truthy marrow. So good was she, that the members of the Guild's Public Relations Division were looking for ways to solve what they called the Squidpiddge problem. And who knows, they might have eventually done something. But sadly for Molly, another more terrifying fate awaited her, because she caught the attention of the killer and resurrectionist, Seamus. And as a thank you for catching his eye, he decided to give her the gift of death. Even after he, completed his work, he still found himself obsessed with her and decided to crash her funeral, raising her up to be one of his most prized possessions, dressing her mindless zombie body in the finest of gowns and jewelry. And when Molly was eventually destroyed, Seamus, trying to save her in his own twisted way, used an artifact called the Gorgon's Tear Soul Stone to bring her back. This powerful artifact did put her back together, but also restored her mind and independence. And with her mind restored, she did the only sensible thing. She ran, trying to stay as far away from Seamus as possible. And when she left, she made sure to grab her first friend of her undead life, Philip. Now, when Philip was alive, he was one of the first people to venture into Kythera and witness the horrors of the grave spirit. A horror that drove him mad and eventually killed him. Sadly, the knowledge in his head was too good to let die, and Seamus rose him, well, his head anyway, back up to spill all his secrets. Easier said than done, since Philip was still quite mad and tended to babble, but it was a process that was slowly bringing some benefits. A process that was interrupted by Molly's theft. Molly and Philip hid away for quite a while, but eventually, their luck ran out, and Philip got himself captured by the Death Marshals. The Marshals also hoping to pry some secrets from this mad undead head. To save her friend, Molly now works undercover for the Tattler, interviewing guild officials for any clues, a little hard to do for two reasons. Number one, getting any sort of secrets from a Death Marshal without raising suspicions is a delicate and lengthy process, especially when you have to spend a significant amount of time in front of a mirror, with jugs of makeup and perfume to make you appear alive. And number two, she absolutely hates Nellie, the head reporter's willingness to turn a blind eye to the guild's crimes, spitting on Molly's journalistic integrity. Besides Philip, there are other undead who over time have come to join Molly as companions, each one lost in some way, and seeming to find something about Molly that's oddly comforting. The necrotic machine is an ancient device from old Malifaux, the machine laying dormant for who knows how long, until humans arrived with the first opening of the breach. When it first met Molly, it recognized something in her, the strange combination of necromantic energies, and perhaps the powers of the Gorgon's Tear Soul Stone, reminding it of its past masters. Either way, it now follows Molly like a loyal puppy, more than happy to let her dress it up in pretty pink bows, while injecting lethal poisons in anyone who would get in her way. Perhaps it's because of the presence of the necrotic machine, that night terrors could also be found around Molly, non-human but still intelligent beings that, at least when they were alive, were also residents of old Malifaux. I don't know much about Archie's past, but I can safely say it probably wasn't pleasant. The poor soul looks like he was experimented on constantly by whatever mad resurrectionist first raised him. When he met Molly and realized she wasn't afraid of him, and not only that, showed him kindness, he became super attached, willing to do anything for his new best friend. As for the Forgotten Marshal, I don't know much about him, and honestly, neither does he. From the way he is dressed and the way he acts, it's probably a good guess that he was once a Death Marshal, perhaps one who dived too deeply into the mysteries of necromancy while hunting its practitioners, a fascination that most likely got him killed. Now that he is undead, it's not uncommon to see him in the company of the very rabble-risers and crueligans he would have hunted when he was alive. all of them willing to help Molly in whatever mad scheme she's cooking up next. Despite being undead, Molly is a sweetheart, and if you treat her with respect, she will respect you in turn. That said, as kind as she is, don't ever think that must make her weak. Trust me, mess with her or her friends, and she won't have any qualms about showing you what death is like.
Hi guys, welcome back to our Malifaux Masters Breakdown, where we showcase the factions and personalities vying for soulstones and dominance in the Broken City. Today's episode features the happy-go-lucky undead reporter Molly Squidpiddge and her Forgotten keyword. The Forgotten are a versatile crew with strong beatdown, hand manipulation, anti-scheming and mobility, giving them tools for any situation. Their headline act is the Fading ability, which grants a model an additional bonus whenever they discard a card, ranging from healing to conditions. To this end, many of the Forgotten feature ways of depleting their control hand in order to increase their effectiveness on the battlefield. Additionally, as you might expect from the Resurrectionists, the Forgotten are hard to take down thanks to their hard to wound, but to add to this further, they're extra slippery thanks to their variety of defensive abilities, such as manipulative and terrifying, which can rapidly drain an opponent's card hand. Leading the crew is Molly herself, a support master most known for her Lee's Caress ability, which damages your opponent's models every time they repeat an action in her line of sight, which makes declaring multiple attacks a daunting prospect for your opponent. The crew's keyword ability, Fading, gives your models bonuses when they discard cards, and that is something that Molly's bonus action, Premonition, leans into while further buffing your models. Constructive Criticism also discards cards with the benefit of allowing you to activate a Forgotten minion a second time per turn, allowing you to easily out-activate your opponent if you're on level playing field. With all this discard, you might worry about your control hand, but never fear, Molly's Gorgon's Influence ability and the Lost Knowledge action can replenish your hand with ease. Finally, she has strong attack options, with One More Question offering slow and Disturbing Story a potential 3 irreducible damage, meaning Molly can be a nightmare for your opponent to deal with. Molly's totem and dog, the Necrotic Machine, or Fido as she calls it, brings some decent healing to the crew, while it's also no slouch in combat. Ceaseless Advance punishes your opponent for having no cards in their hand, while Neurotoxins can put any would-be Molly Slayers in dire straits as their ability to use soulstones or triggers is taken away. Accomplice also lets you proc someone's Fading and works extremely well with Strange Behaviour to set up Molly's Gorgon Influence. The Forgotten only have one henchman to bring to the table in their infamous head in a pram, Philip and the Nanny. Helping to ruin your opponent's plans, Chatty can make it difficult for crews to interact around him, while he's starting to make sense damages people who gain the focus condition. Rambling Man allows them to benefit from Fading abilities around him, while Boring Conversation forces your opponent's models to test every time they do a non-walk action, potentially wasting high cards in their deck. Finally, as another source of One More Question, Philip makes a useful model to have just behind the front lines, where he can target high-profile opposition with ease. Moving over to Enforcers, and we have the goodest boy, Archie, for 9 soulstones, a mobile beater who can deliver the hurt with his powerful huge fist attack thanks to Leap and Rush. With his Fading Brain Freeze to heal him, hard to wound and terrifying are the key factors keeping him alive in the middle of a scrum. To get around Archie's lack of concentration thanks to his numbskull, he has the bonus action Mournful Memories, which can give him either a plus to his next duel or a suit of his choice in return for a flip 7. Next up is the Forgotten Marshal, a summoner who offers a good toolbox by bringing in minions to swell your horde. While he cannot use soulstones as an enforcer, between Molly's ability to draw cards and or the Whisper upgrade that you have available as a Resurrectionist, you'll more than likely be able to find the High Crow that you need. Additionally, with the Calm Their Madness ability, the Marshal can immediately proc the summon's Faded ability, getting them straight into the action. Finally, the Gunslinger also brings a bit of ranged firepower to the crew with the guild's trusty Peacekeeper, and can even bury anyone who gets too close to him thanks to his Pine Box attack. The Forgotten's last enforcer is one that Molly shares with a certain mad scientist in the Rogue Necromancy, a tough beater having terrifying, hard to wound, hard to kill, and being healed by the poison condition. The creature's attacks are beefy as well, with its Savage Bite having a built-in plus flip and excellent triggers. The Projectile Vomit range attack can pump out conditions with its built-in Crow, offering potentially slow, poison, and distracted on an unfortunate enemy. Finally, the Necromancy has Ambush for additional movement and healing thanks to its Fading Toxicity and Perverse Metabolism. Onto the minions, we have probably one of the best minions in Rezzers with the Crueligans. These little guys have By Your Side that lets you teleport anywhere on the board within 2 inches of a Forgotten non-minion, letting you score spread out schemes easily. Both their fading ability and forage bonus action offer excellent anti-scheming, while the attack actions can prove highly effective later on in turns as resources become depleted. Next we have the Night Terrors, these suit-wearing bats that are also great schemers with flight and agile, making them very hard to pin down. Enveloping Darkness also gives you some tech against shooting crews, giving models within 3 inches concealment, while the Negation Aura bonus action forces your opponent to discard a card every time they cheat within the same range. Finally, we have the Rabble Risers, 6 Soulstone beaters that can be brutal in combat with Blade Rush, Flurry, and Fading Misfit to grant them a free focus. While their sword might be the Riser's signature attack, Challenge can also offer some incidental control and force the enemy to risk their control hands being depleted once more. In game terms, the Forgotten keyword is very flexible, having the tools to deal with most challenges and scheme pools. They're often seen as a safe pick into the unknown, where the crew's ability to anti-scheme, gain card and activation advantage, beat down and get across the map means that they can easily get your opponent on the back foot, a position they might struggle to come back from. Strategies that offer some level of centralised control are ideal for Molly to maximise the effectiveness of her Caress line of sight, while her minions can then score backfield schemes while the enforcers use their survivability to tank high-profile targets. Enemies that lack high movement can rapidly find themselves caught in an unfavourable matchup or wasting their actions in response to the Forgotten's high pressure. On the other hand, if you're facing Molly and friends, there are weaknesses to be aware of. Their average willpower and defense can be targeted effectively with ruthless models, while concealment and board control markers can reduce the master's lines of sight. Finally, the Forgotten don't really have a lot of ranged attacks, so fighting a dedicated crew like this can offer some serious problems, as can schemes that your opponent can score without engaging you. Well, if you'd like to stalk the night as the Forgotten, then consider the following example list, where your front line of Archie, Rogue Necromancy and Rabble Risers summoned in by the Marshal can get stuck in while Molly and the Marshal sit just behind, slowing targets and buffing the crew. The excellent range of upgrades available to the Resurrectionists can then be added in slowly as you find your feet, and once you've got used to the keyword, you can then start to look to the wider Resurrectionist options and tech picks such as the Dead Rider and Manos. So that brings us to the end of this Malifaux Master breakdown. We hope it's been useful in giving you a snapshot of its crew and their mechanics. A massive thank you in addition to the vocal talents of the wonderful Arvandus during the video's intro. You can find more of his excellent lore content in the links in the description below. For more talk about Malifaux and its masters, why not check out our podcast, The Harlefaux Show, where we break down each keyword and why you should play it. Alternatively, we have a wealth of beginner-friendly battle reports here on the channel that guide players through every flip and decision. Whichever you choose, we look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care, folks.
Hi guys, thank you very much for watching our content. It means the world to us. If you'd like to see some more videos, they should be over here. If you'd like to support our channel, keep these lights on. You can find links to our Patreon and merchandise in the description below. See you later.